Have you ever found yourself scrolling through endless content on the internet, bombarded by the idea of the Sigma male? It's everywhere. This notion of the lone wolf, this mysterious, enigmatic figure who thrives outside the conventional social hierarchy. He doesn't need anyone, lives by his own rules, and yet somehow draws admiration without even trying. It's an image that has been idealized, turned into a symbol of ultimate strength, freedom, and self-reliance. But here's the question you need to ask yourself. Is the Sigma male a myth, or is it a real archetype that you can become? If it's real, why aren't you living that lifestyle? Why aren't you truly embodying the traits of a Sigma male? What is holding you back from becoming this self-sufficient, independent person who lives life on his own terms? The truth is, the path to becoming a Sigma male isn't what most people think it is. It's not about pretending to be indifferent or just rejecting society. It's not about walking away from others in order to appear powerful. The Sigma male is not a costume you can put on. It's a mindset, a way of being that requires profound change, discipline, and a level of understanding about yourself that most people are afraid to confront. So, if you're curious why you're not there yet, why you're not a true Sigma male, keep listening. This isn't about beating yourself up. It's about understanding the core reasons, breaking down the barriers, and showing you the way forward. Are you ready for the truth? The first major misconception about the Sigma male is independence. When people think of independence, they often picture someone who cuts themselves off from everyone else, someone who needs no one and refuses to rely on others for anything. It sounds romantic, doesn't it? Like a lone cowboy riding off into the sunset, completely self-reliant. But the reality is far more nuanced than this simplistic picture. Real independence isn't about rejecting relationships or pretending you don't care about others. It's not about locking yourself in an emotional fortress where no one can touch you. True independence is about understanding your own value, knowing who you are, and being comfortable with yourself, whether you are alone or with others. It's about making choices from a place of authenticity, not out of fear or a need to prove something. You're not a Sigma male if your so-called independence is just a mask for your insecurities. Let me give you an example. Imagine a person who constantly avoids social interactions, not because they are genuinely more productive or happy alone, but because they are terrified of being judged, of being vulnerable, of letting people in. This isn't independence, it's avoidance. It's fear masquerading as strength. And this is why you may be failing to embody the Sigma mindset. True independence means you're comfortable with who you are. It means you have faced your insecurities, acknowledged your fears, and are no longer held back by them. This is the kind of independence that allows you to connect with others without losing yourself. It means being alone when you want to be, but also enjoying meaningful relationships when you choose to. It's not about needing others, but about valuing and appreciating them without being dependent on their approval or validation. The Sigma male is described as a lone wolf, but even wolves are part of a pack when they choose to be. They interact with others, form relationships, and understand their role in their environment. The Sigma, similarly, is not detached from society. He simply chooses when and how to engage with it, based on his own terms, not based on the need to fit in or conform. Ask yourself, are you truly independent, or are you just afraid to let others in? Until you face this truth, you will never be able to embody the Sigma mentality. Independence is not about rejecting others. It's about being so comfortable in your own skin that you can stand alone or be with others without compromising who you are. Now, let's talk about something that most people completely misunderstand about the Sigma male: vulnerability. The Sigma is often portrayed as emotionally untouchable, a person who doesn't let anyone get too close, who keeps their emotions locked away. But in reality, this is not what makes a Sigma powerful. True power comes from understanding and embracing your vulnerabilities. Think about this. The people who are truly strong aren't the ones who deny their emotions or pretend they don't feel fear, pain, or doubt. The people who are truly strong are the ones who acknowledge those emotions, who face them head on and use them as fuel to grow and evolve. They don't shy away from their insecurities. Instead, they confront them, learn from them, and ultimately become stronger as a result. Being a Sigma male means having the courage to face yourself, to look in the mirror and admit your fears and insecurities. It means being honest with yourself about your weaknesses, and instead of hiding them, you work on them. It means not pretending to be invincible, but instead embracing your humanity, your flaws, your fears, and your strengths. Most people shy away from vulnerability because they see it as a weakness. They think that admitting fear or insecurity is a sign that they are not strong enough, not Sigma enough. But this couldn't be further from the truth. True Sigma males understand that vulnerability is a part of growth. You cannot grow if you do not acknowledge what is holding you back. You cannot overcome your fears if you refuse to admit that they exist. Here's an analogy. Imagine a warrior going into battle. A foolish warrior might pretend that they have no weaknesses, that they are invulnerable. They might ignore their blind spots, ignore their weaknesses, and charge in head first. What do you think happens to this warrior? They get defeated. Not because they weren't strong, but because they weren't honest with themselves about their vulnerabilities. A wise warrior, on the other hand, acknowledges their weaknesses. They study them, understand them, and make plans to compensate for them. They wear armor where they know they are vulnerable. They learn techniques to protect their weak points, and they go into battle prepared. This is the Sigma male. Someone who is not afraid to admit where they are vulnerable and who uses that knowledge to become stronger. So why aren't you a Sigma male? Perhaps it's because you're running from your vulnerabilities instead of embracing them. You think hiding your emotions makes you strong, but true strength comes from acceptance and growth. It comes from being so secure in yourself that you don't need to pretend. You can be vulnerable, you can be flawed, and still be powerful. Another big reason you're not a Sigma male is that you care too much about what people think. I know that sounds harsh, but it's an honest truth. One of the most defining traits of a Sigma is their indifference to societal expectations. The Sigma male doesn't live his life according to the rules others have set for him. He lives by his own rules, guided by his values and his principles. Many people think that to be a Sigma male, you need to completely stop caring about anything or anyone. But this isn't true. Sigmas care deeply, but only about the things that truly matter. They care about their goals, their mission, their loved ones, and their values. They simply don't waste their energy worrying about what strangers think or trying to fit into a mold that doesn't suit them. The average person spends a lot of time and energy seeking validation from others. Think about social media, for example. How often do you see people posting pictures, sharing their thoughts, or curating their online presence in a way that's clearly designed to get likes, comments, and approval? It's not necessarily wrong to share your life with others, but when you're doing it solely for the validation, solely for the dopamine hit that comes from someone else's approval, you're not living authentically. The Sigma male doesn't need that validation. He knows who he is, he knows what he wants, and he doesn't need anyone else's approval to feel good about himself. This doesn't mean he's completely disconnected from the world, far from it. He values meaningful relationships, but those relationships are built on genuine connection, not on superficial approval. If you're constantly worrying about what others think, if you're changing yourself to fit in or to be liked, then you're not embodying the Sigma mindset. You're giving your power away to others, letting them dictate how you live your life, how you see yourself, and what you value. The path to becoming a Sigma male requires that you reclaim that power. It requires that you decide once and for all that your worth isn't determined by others. You need to define your own values, decide what matters to you, and live according to those principles. When you do that, you will naturally stop caring about the opinions of those who don't matter, and you'll start to focus on what truly does. Self-reliance is a key attribute of a Sigma male, but not in the way that most people think. When you hear the term self-reliance, you might imagine someone who is entirely self-sufficient, someone who needs nothing from anyone and refuses any kind of help. It sounds appealing, being so capable that you never have to rely on another person. But true self-reliance isn't about rejecting help or cutting everyone off. It's about taking full responsibility for your life and knowing you have the ability to manage it no matter what comes your way. The Sigma male is self-reliant, but it's a balanced kind of self-reliance. He's not afraid to admit when he doesn't know something, and he's not afraid to ask for help when it serves his greater purpose. But at the core of his being, he knows that he's the one responsible for his life. He's not waiting for someone to save him, to make decisions for him, or to tell him what to do. He takes initiative, makes his own choices, and owns the consequences, whether they're good or bad. Most people aren't truly self-reliant. They might think they are, but in reality, they are often dependent on others for validation, for direction, or for a sense of purpose. This dependence is subtle. It doesn't always show up in obvious ways. It might be the person who never makes a decision without consulting their friends. It might be the person who blames others when things go wrong, who can't take responsibility for their own mistakes. It might be the person who needs a boss or a partner to tell them what to do, because they don't trust themselves to make their own decisions. If you're always looking for someone to guide you, if you're afraid to take responsibility for your choices, then you're not living like a Sigma male. A Sigma male is his own guide. He trusts his judgment, even if it means making mistakes along the way. He knows that every mistake is an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to become stronger. He doesn't fear failure because he understands that failure is part of the process. He owns his failures as much as his successes because he knows that both are necessary for growth. Imagine you're lost in the wilderness. The person who is not self-reliant panics. They look around desperately for someone to tell them what to do, for someone to save them. They feel powerless because they've never had to take control of their own survival. The Sigma, on the other hand, takes a breath. He assesses the situation. He might not know exactly what to do, but he trusts that he can figure it out. He takes action, one step at a time, and finds his way. This is the mindset you need to cultivate if you want to be a Sigma male. You need to develop the kind of self-reliance that comes from trusting yourself, from being willing to take risks, to make mistakes, and to learn from them. You need to be willing to take control of your life, to make decisions without waiting for someone else to guide you, and to accept full responsibility for the outcome. True self-reliance is about being the captain of your own ship. It's about knowing that no matter what storms come your way, you have the skills, the courage, and the determination to navigate through them. It's about trusting yourself to make the right decisions. And if those decisions turn out to be wrong, trusting yourself to adapt, to change course, and to keep moving forward. So, why aren't you a Sigma male? Maybe it's because you haven't yet learned to trust yourself. Maybe you're still looking to others for validation, for direction, for a sense of security. But the truth is, no one else can give you that. You have to find it within yourself. One of the most defining characteristics of a Sigma male is his sense of purpose. He doesn't drift through life, waiting for things to happen. He doesn't follow the crowd or do what's expected of him just because it's what everyone else is doing. The Sigma male has a mission, a goal that drives him, that gives his life meaning and direction. This sense of purpose is what sets him apart from others, what allows him to live life on his own terms. The truth is, most people don't have a clear purpose. They go through the motions, getting a job, paying the bills, doing what they're supposed to do, but they're not truly driven by anything meaningful. They live for the weekends, for vacations, for moments of escape from the monotony of their daily lives. They don't have a vision for their future, something that excites them, that motivates them to keep going, even when things get tough. The Sigma male is different. He has a purpose, and that purpose is what fuels him. It's what gets him up in the morning, what keeps him focused, what drives him to keep going, even when things are difficult. This purpose isn't something that's given to him by society, by his parents, or by anyone else. It's something he has chosen for himself, something that is deeply meaningful to him. Finding your purpose isn't always easy. It requires introspection, a willingness to explore your interests, your passions, and your values. It requires that you be honest with yourself about what you truly want, not what others expect of you. It requires that you be willing to take risks, to step out of your comfort zone, and to pursue something that might be uncertain, that might not have a clear path or a guaranteed outcome. If you don't have a clear purpose, if you're just going through the motions, then you're not living like a Sigma male. Purpose is what gives you direction. It's what keeps you focused, and it's what allows you to walk your own path, regardless of what others think. It's what gives your life meaning, and without it, you'll always feel like something is missing. Think about the most successful, most fulfilled people you know. They all have something in common. They're driven by a sense of purpose. They're not just working for a paycheck. They're not just doing what they're told. They're pursuing something that matters to them. Whether it's building a business, creating art, helping others, or exploring the world, they have a mission that gives their life meaning. The Sigma male is no different. He has a mission, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to achieve it. He's not afraid to take risks, to fail, to start over if necessary, because he knows that his purpose is worth it. He doesn't get distracted by the trivialities of life. He doesn't waste time on things that don't matter, and he doesn't live for the approval of others. He lives for his purpose, and that is what sets him apart. If you want to be a Sigma male, you need to find your purpose. You need to figure out what matters to you, what drives you, what you're willing to work for, even when it's hard. You need to be willing to take risks, to step out of your comfort zone, and to pursue something that is meaningful to you. Without a sense of purpose, you'll always be drifting, always looking for something to fill the void. Take the time to explore your passions, to figure out what excites you, what makes you feel alive. Be willing to take risks, to fail, to learn, and to grow. Find your mission and let it drive you. When you have a purpose, you'll find that everything else falls into place. You'll have direction, you'll have focus, and you'll have the motivation to keep going, even when things get tough. Now that we've explored what it truly means to be a Sigma male, the independence, the vulnerability, the self-reliance, and the sense of purpose, it's time for a reality check. Why aren't you a Sigma male? What's holding you back? The truth is, most people aren't willing to do the work. They like the idea of being a Sigma male. They like the image of the lone wolf, the person who lives life on his own terms, who doesn't care what others think. But they're not willing to face their fears, to challenge their insecurities, to step out of their comfort zone and do the hard work of self-discovery. Being a Sigma male isn't about pretending to be indifferent or putting on a facade of cool detachment. It's about becoming the kind of person who is genuinely comfortable in their own skin, who lives by their own rules, and who doesn't need validation from anyone. It's about developing true independence, real self-reliance, and a deep sense of purpose. Most people aren't willing to do that. They want the image of the Sigma male without the substance. They want the admiration, the mystique, the freedom, but they're not willing to face their fears, to challenge their insecurities, to stand alone when it matters. Think about it. How many times have you avoided doing something because you were afraid of what others would think? How often have you changed yourself to fit in, to be liked, to gain approval? How often have you looked to others to guide you, to tell you what to do, because you didn't trust yourself to make your own decisions? These are the things that are holding you back from becoming a Sigma male. It's not about your circumstances, it's not about your background, and it's not about anyone else. It's about you. It's about the choices you make every day, the way you see yourself, and the way you choose to live your life. So, what can you do to overcome these barriers and truly embody the Sigma mindset? It all starts with a commitment to change, a commitment to face yourself, to be honest about your weaknesses, and to do the work to overcome them. Becoming a Sigma male isn't something that happens overnight. It's a journey, a process of self-discovery and growth that requires time, effort, and most importantly, courage. Here's how you can begin to break free from the things that are holding you back. The first step to becoming a Sigma male is to face your fears and insecurities head on. You cannot become truly independent, self-reliant, or live authentically if you're constantly running away from the things that scare you. Most people are afraid of being judged, of failing, of being vulnerable. But the Sigma male understands that these fears are a part of being human, and he refuses to let them control his life. Take the time to identify your fears. Are you afraid of what others will think? Are you afraid of making mistakes, of failing, of not being good enough? Write them down, be honest with yourself, and face them. The only way to overcome your fears is to confront them. The more you face your fears, the more power you take away from them. Once you've faced your fears, it's time to cultivate true independence. This means learning to trust yourself, to rely on yourself, and to take full responsibility for your life. Independence doesn't mean isolating yourself or rejecting others. It means being comfortable with who you are, whether you're alone or with others. Start by making your own decisions. Stop waiting for others to tell you what to do or seeking their approval before you act. Trust your judgment and be willing to make mistakes. Remember that independence is about owning your choices, both the good and the bad. When you take responsibility for your life, you become the captain of your own ship, and that's the essence of the Sigma mindset. Embracing vulnerability is one of the most challenging aspects of becoming a Sigma male, but it's also one of the most important. True strength comes from being willing to be vulnerable, to admit your weaknesses, and to use them as a source of growth. Practice being vulnerable with yourself first. Be honest about your fears, your insecurities, and the things that hold you back. Then start being vulnerable with others. It doesn't mean you need to share everything with everyone, but it does mean being willing to be real, to let people see who you truly are without fear of judgment. The Sigma male isn't afraid to be vulnerable because he knows that true strength comes from authenticity. He doesn't need to pretend to be invincible. He knows that his value isn't determined by his ability to hide his weaknesses, but by his ability to confront them and grow. To live like a Sigma male, you need a mission, a purpose that drives you, that gives your life meaning. Without a sense of purpose, you'll always be drifting, always looking for something to fill the void. Finding your purpose requires introspection, a willingness to explore your interests, and the courage to pursue something that might be uncertain or difficult. Ask yourself, what excites you? What makes you feel alive? What are you willing to work for even when it's hard? Take the time to explore these questions, to figure out what truly matters to you, and then make it your mission. When you have a purpose, you'll find that everything else falls into place. You'll have direction, focus, and the motivation to keep going, even when things get tough. One of the biggest barriers to becoming a Sigma male is the need for validation. If you're constantly looking for others to approve of you, to tell you that you're good enough, then you're not living authentically. You're living for others, not for yourself. The Sigma male doesn't need validation because he knows his worth. He lives according to his own values, his own principles, and he doesn't need anyone else to tell him that he's doing the right thing. To embody this mindset, you need to let go of the need for approval. Define your own values, decide what matters to you, and live according to those principles. When you do that, you'll find that you no longer care about the opinions of those who don't matter, and you'll start to focus on what truly does. So, why aren't you a Sigma male? The truth is, most people aren't willing to do the work. They want the image of the Sigma male, the lone wolf, the person who lives life on his own terms, who doesn't care what others think. But they're not willing to face their fears, to challenge their insecurities, to step out of their comfort zone, and to do the hard work of self-discovery. The path to becoming a Sigma male is not about pretending to be indifferent or putting on a facade of cool detachment. It's about becoming the kind of person who is genuinely comfortable in their own skin, who lives by their own rules, and who doesn't need validation from anyone. It's about developing true independence, real self-reliance, and a deep sense of purpose. Most people aren't willing to do that. They want the admiration, the mystique, the freedom, but they're not willing to face the hard truths about themselves and put in the work required to change. But if you're willing to do the work, if you're willing to face your fears, to embrace vulnerability, to take responsibility for your life, and to find your purpose, then you can become a Sigma male. It's not about the image, it's about the substance. It's about becoming the kind of person who is truly comfortable with who they are, who lives life on their own terms, and who doesn't need anyone else's approval to feel good about themselves. The journey to becoming a Sigma male is a lifelong process of growth, learning, and self-discovery. It's about challenging yourself, pushing your limits, and becoming the best version of yourself. It's about living authentically, pursuing your passions, and finding your own path in life. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Because when you live like a Sigma male, you're truly free. Free to be yourself, to live life on your own terms, and to create the life you want. So, if you're ready to take on the challenge, to do the work, and to become the person you've always wanted to be, then the path is open to you. Remember, It's you versus you. The only thing standing between you and the Sigma lifestyle is your willingness to face yourself and to do the work required to grow. It's not about anyone else. It's about you. Thank you for joining me today. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your struggles, and your journey to becoming a Sigma male. Remember, the path is challenging, but you're not alone. There's a community of like-minded individuals here, all striving to become the best versions of themselves. Stay true to yourself, keep growing, and I'll see you in the next video.